after some reapplication of more primer and some scratches and stuff in it, we now have the finished buck for the top section. 3 coats of black. There's a few little bits in it, not much, but probably my first real kind of proper sprayed top coat on anything. So it looks pretty shiny, kind of, yes, reasonably shiny. So we need to leave that a few days and let the paint harden off a little bit more, and then I'll just kind of block sand some of the little bits out of it and buff it up. It looks pretty good now, but I've got a contaminants. Basically I'm just spraying in the open garage, so it's not really the best place for it. It's come out pretty well, so I don't want it to look nice and carbon. So, there we go. Pretty happy with it, to be honest. So I'll probably have to do a 2-piece mould, just to make it easy to come apart and separate. The most obvious place to put a second piece is right down the centre line all the way across. Do it in 2 pieces that way. It makes it just easier to come apart. How else looks? Oh, really happy with that. Another bit of thinking I've been doing while waiting for the paint to go off. This sill exit, as much as I don't mind the shape of it, you can see the exit looks okay. I'm not too unhappy with it. One problem I kind of do have is this is a very narrow passage. Now this pillar here is impossible to mould in a one piece, so basically this would have to be an introduction after, say, the top and the bottom's done, to mould the scoop with the actual unit. Pretty bloody hard. So this would have to be this would have to be a secondary piece and kind of a rebate in here, and this would be bolted in afterwards, the way it is now. So whatever happens, this thing's going to be at least a 2-piece. The rear here, I can put a return on here, then I'll close this off. Basically I'll bring a return down there and make that a complete flat, so this feels like one solid piece, and then you'll just cut the aperture out. That's okay. Now that can be done. All the angles are there's a release angle of a few degrees on that, it's not a problem. Well, I'll make it anyway. This is a bit different. There's obviously a release angle on this. This slopes down, so that'll come out on itself, but it's, I don't know. I don't think it's enough, and I think it's going to be a real pain because the fiberglass from here to there, is quite deep into this corner. So to get into this corner, to do whatever's got to be done with fiberglass, is going to be a nightmare. So you can see by my tape line here, just about, if I come down that way, to make it easy to get into this corner, I'm going to bring this top of this down so it slopes away and gives me some more access here to get into here in fiberglass when I'm actually making the actual part out of the mould. So I'm going to angle this here. That's the first stage, so it'll give me more access. But I've been looking, if I've got to make a pillar for here, one thing that does concern me a little bit, not much, but the last thing I want to do is introduce too much drag. Now, with the wheel arch top vents here that my friends in Britain had before, like I said before, when it went down the motorway and it was raining, he didn't have the sill opening at the time, he hadn't done the sill mod, but he had huge rooster tails coming out of the front wheel arches. The following car basically had his friend in, and he said he got huge water rooster tails coming out of here. So there's obviously a lot of pressure coming from the radiator and all the vents at the front getting into this area here, and at the time the only exit for it was the vents he had on the wheel arch. So there's a lot of pressure and air exit there. Now obviously opening up the sill, you're going to split, some of the air is going to come out of the top of the wheel, some of the air is going to come out of here, but it's potentially it could be quite a bit of air. One thing I was thinking is if the air is coming out of here quite quickly, then it's going to force air out here. Now whether it does happen or not, it's hard to tell without a CFD model, but I was thinking if the air is going to force out here, then you're going to increase drag, getting back to that horrible thing, lack of lift or reduction of lift due to getting the air out of the wheel arch, but then you increase drag because you've now got you've got a larger envelope of air that's not tight to the bottom of the car. You're now pushing it out. So I was thinking it's worth putting some form of, to ignore my rather crude piece of cardboard at this point, trying to introduce some form of I'll call it whatever you want, barge board, just some form of an aero flap. I have no idea what you want to call it, but instead of having such a narrow beam here, just thinking about moving this part of the body further back, and connecting it and rebaiting it into the body here, so it'll be flat there, but then sort of flaring it out to the bottom, so maybe it's more kind of like coming out to here. These are this side splitters will come up here a little bit more, so more kind of here somewhere. But at least when the air is going through here now, it's not going to shoot straight out. There's got more chance of forcing it, at a shallower angle to the outside of the body. Now here's going to be quite sharp. That's introduced a shallow an angle. Yes, there's going to be air rushing past here anyway, which is going to want to push it in. But if I can, try and control the air a little bit more, I don't know. I might be talking absolute and complete and total rubbish, but it makes semi-sense to me. Try and keep the air down the side of the car so there's not as much of a gap, not as much of a separated airflow. I don't know. So at this point I've tried 3 or 4 shapes, and this is the shape that I kind of like. I've tried a shape that kind of follows this way, but this makes the most sense. As you've got the longest piece here, this top surface, instead of being flat now, if I'm going to redo this surface because of the other side, I could actually take this piece out here and make it curved, because technically I'm already doing this to that panel, although it doesn't take too much to do that and to bend it down round. So instead of having it just flat along here, I can actually put a curvature in it. I'll make some really thin fiberglass to make the first one out here. I won't do this in clay, I'll just do this in fiberglass. It's a pretty flat shape, it's easy to do. This will obviously have a return here, return there, and then I'll put a secondary piece at the back or whatever. But this flat shape there, I might curve that down, and this back piece here, instead of it being reasonably vertical, I'll tuck that bottom in. So this top flat surface here will become curved, and at the point where it intersects with the wall, then this piece here, instead of it being like a transition between smooth and there, then if I move it in this way, I should be able to get a line here that defines it. So bring this out to here, so I've got a nice line here, and that'll be a blend line, so it'll kind of blend out. You won't see it as much, but you should be able to see it a little bit. So this surface should get that kind of shape, and then the top surface will be this one. And that shape there is very similar to the shape that's on the vent here. So we've got some, I don't know, maybe grassmint straws. But that makes a bit more sense to me to try and control the air a little bit better here instead of just having a great big open vent. Keep the airflow closer to the car. I don't know, answers on a postcard. What do you think? I've got to alter this. That's got to move. I just can't make this in mass production. Well, I should think it'd be making one, let alone any more than that. So I don't know. See what you think. Now, by making this piece here, or this flap, or I don't know, aeroplane, whatever you want to call it, having the base of this up here is not really needed quite so much anymore, because now it just completes the shape, you know, and it has that base to it there. Well, if I introduce this here, it's not really quite so needed, because I'm not going to blend this into here. It's going to be further out from the body. I don't want to make the body out to it. So also what I was thinking, whereas this here at the moment stops at this surface, and we have a fiberglass surface there. And okay, that's not too hard to mould, because the return on here is actually quite small. You can see there's not too much depth there, which makes it easier to fiberglass. When I was thinking about taking this panel here, which is going to be tilted in slightly, and doing that all the way to here. So basically, you wouldn't see this; you'd see the splitter. So this would be the finish there, and that would be open to the floor splitter. If you look at John Olsen's car, it's you know, it has that. He took the whole complete corner out, and he's put one of them, he put a complete pillar down there, which wasn't really contoured to the wheel, which I thought was kind of funny. It didn't really suit. He didn't get the sort of nice wheel aperture. It looked kind of truncated at the end, but you know, each to their own. But I wanted to put this directly to the floor. It makes this dead easy. Bang! You know, there's less to mould there. And obviously there's plenty of structure here. That's not a problem. So, you know, what reduction in the hole I've put here, I'm going to add there anyway, so it's probably going to be a bigger surface area going into it. And you haven't got as big an area here for IVA man with his fake baby's head, or what you want to call it, to go into the wheel arch either. So I don't know, you probably might not even need a mesh as such into here, just to stop you getting your hand into the wheel contact. I don't know. Whereas with a huge opening like that, I don't know whether AVO would like the wheel axis being so close. Probably be fine, but just don't know. So anyway, a little bit of thinking on that, but you know, painting is a bit boring, waiting for everything to dry, and so I was just thinking out loud. Okay.